particularly white evangelicals, social conservatives, very strongly defending it. I was just sort of curious about that. Their support has been as strong publicly as ever. Are the conversations privately different?
Well, a year, 2 years ago, I used to hear my colleagues, they would whisper, I know the guy's way over the top. I know he's terribly offensive. I know he's way too visceral. He's too impulsive. He doesn't know us. He's not religious. Look, we know who he is. He's a secularist. He's not a believer, but he's good for us. And who else is going to get this done? And it's going to take a fighter like him to get it done. Now I don't hear that much anymore. And that's even more distressing to me, because what it seems to suggest is that a kind of final conversion has taken place, at least in their thinking, if not in their hearts. And if it is in their hearts, then I fear for them. I mean, in one sense, just in terms of reclaiming their moral integrity, regaining a sense of ethics and what is right and wrong. And if they have lost that ability to discern that, then they are indeed in very grave danger personally, certainly as a community. I mean, we know what the history of demoralized churches are. They quickly become relics of history and not good ones. And then, of course, I'm still a believer in salvation. I think we have to have a certain standing before God. And if we lose that, we've lost everything. The Bible even reminds us of that. It says, what does it profit a man if he gain the whole world but lose his soul? That's the ultimate loss.
I do know that the Southern Baptist Convention just had their convention. It is the nation's largest Protestant denomination, and they show a membership decline. It's the 13th straight year of decline. It's the largest single-year decline in more than a century. What are you seeing?
And that's true almost across the board, and especially when you look at under age 45. And the younger, the worse the statistics become. Young people especially are leaving evangelical churches in droves. And why? Because they see the hypocrisy. They see an identification with establishment power, with political force and influence. They are tired of the combat, the social conflict, the wars, many of them ginned up. Look, I know this stuff personally. I battled with fundraisers for decades who told me, look, we need to leave your people afraid and angry. The madder they are, the more fearful they are, the more money they're going to send you. Give us more fear and more anger. I was actually told that explicitly at a conference room table. We need more fear and more anger. Well, young people are sick of that.
You've had some significant breaks with others in the evangelical movement over the years now. I mean, you've broken with them on the issue of expansive gun rights. You've broken with them around the issue of how abortion should be discussed and thought of, sort of a number of issues. And I can imagine that, some people would say you're the wrong one. I mean, you're the outlier. You're the one who's getting it wrong. And in fact, some people might argue that your point of view is dangerous, that you're imperiling people's souls. And I just wondered how you have reconciled yourself to this, over the years. What convinces you and affirms you in your view that your path here is the path that really others should be taking? Humbly, I would say. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's been anything but easy, including internally. It's been a very difficult journey for me, but it started by facing myself. And that was a terrifying thing to do, to listen to my own words and to watch their effect on other people. on the other person instead of constantly listening so that I would feel better about myself. I started listening to hear the effect of my words on others. That was part of that process of change. But I'm not alone. There's a book out now called The Spiritual Danger of Donald Trump, in which 30 top level, some of the best evangelical hearts and minds in the United States, writing essays, warning of why the Trump culture, not necessarily Donald Trump as an individual human being, but the political and social culture that Donald Trump represents and fosters is so dangerous, particularly to Christians. And I go back to, again, what is our message? What are we trying to proclaim and live out? And if I look at the model of Jesus, and if evangelicalism is anything, it's Jesus-centered. We call it, in theological speak, being Christocentric. Jesus Christ being at the center of everything we say, do, believe, proclaim, practice, all of it. The centrality is Jesus Christ. He becomes the model. Too many Christians segregate the world. We are segregationists into the saved and the lost. Those who know God, those who don't. Those who are sinners, those who are saved and sanctified. Well, that's not the way Jesus treated people. He treated every human being with precisely the same love, respect, and dignity. And that's the heart of the gospel. So for me, this is all about returning to my original faith, not renouncing my faith.